Part 55. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ryu Xiahua. Chapter 541. This is the willfulness of Shenhao. If you don't do whatever you want, how can you still be called a powerful person? Chapter 309. Something happened in the imperial capital, Li Yuan's regret. As a billionaire with a net worth of several billion, Li Yuan, a 19-year-old young and domineering CEO, naturally spends money as he pleases. From the perspective of two real estate managers, Zhang Yuan and Wang Zi, Li Yuan spends money like water and has a high reputation. In Zhong Tingyu's view, Li Yuan was buying some financial products and investing. As a person close to Li Yuan and shouldering three identities and heavy responsibilities, she naturally knows that in the future, housing prices in first-tier cities such as Magic City and Imperial City will rise sharply. And houses like courtyard houses, which have cultural relic value and status symbols, are investments with great potential for appreciation. Li Yuan thought happily. No matter what, I can be regarded as a celebrity in the imperial capital. Even if I don't want it anymore, I can still sell it for hundreds of millions. Wang Zi on the side saw Li Yuan's generous appearance, which was hard to describe with spend a lot of money. Thinking back to what Zhang Yuan said to her on the way here, she immediately made up her mind and decided to use her charm to capture Li Yuan. When he heard that Li Yuan was determined to buy without even bargaining, Zhang Yuan's anxious heart immediately relaxed. Immediately afterwards, a huge sense of ecstasy arose. This luxury house worth 98.88 million, based on the 1.5% handling fee, is equivalent to earning him a house in the imperial capital, which will further consolidate his reputation as an ace real estate manager. This price, as far as he knows, has also set a price ceiling for a single property in the imperial capital. Zhang Yuan's voice became more respectful. Mr. Li, thank you for your trust in our company and me. I will definitely complete all the procedures for you as soon as possible. Li Yuan nodded and continued to ask. By the way, in addition to this courtyard house, as I told you before, I also want to buy a few houses, including some facades. Have you prepared the houses? Buying a courtyard house is just Li Yuan's personal thought. You can buy other houses, such as school district houses, single-family villas, large flats, as well as storefronts, office buildings, etc. that are preparing for the expansion of T-Beauty and Moonlight. This is the business. This is also a huge investment figure. According to his and Zhong Tingyu's calculations, apart from the villas and large flats where they plan to live, the other office buildings, shops, and factories will cost at least hundreds of millions. Because, he is planning to establish an Imperial City branch of T-Beauty and Moonlight in the Imperial Capital metropolitan area. There is no doubt that the consumption level of the people in the Imperial Capital is not any worse than that in the magical capital. As long as it can capture the markets of these two political, economic, cultural, and commercial centers, then T-Face and Moonlight can be considered to have completely gained a foothold. It's only the beginning of 2009, and the housing prices in the imperial capital are basically the same as those in the magical capital, and they haven't become that exaggerated yet. In fact, the most suitable properties for investment are small-sized, high-quality houses in school districts, which have the greatest room for appreciation. However, Li Yuan was not very interested in this and thought it was a bit troublesome. It would be better to buy some luxury homes. Luxury houses not only have great room for appreciation, but the most important thing is that they can be used to live in. From now on, he will definitely come to the imperial capital frequently, and naturally he will have several apartments of his own in the imperial capital. Not only him, but also Zhong Tingyu, Xia's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi. She also wanted to buy more real estate investments for them. Of course, now, he is not going to give it to them directly. In the Magic City, each person has been given a mansion worth tens of millions, plus a sports car worth millions. 5 million was transferred to everyone's bank card, including 10% of each person's dividend shares of Chayan USE. Li Yuan has given enough. Any more words would be meaningless and might even harm them. This is also because he really likes Zhong Tingyu and the three of them, so he would do this. Like another girlfriend with a similar identity, sexy mentor Chi Siyu, he only paid for a house worth 1 million and a bank card with 1 million in it, which was used to buy a car. As for the others, such as Wang Zhirong and Liang Jingjing, he didn't show any expression and was just a passerby. In the eyes of many people, people like Lucia, Wu Hao, and Su Ziqiang. No matter in terms of figure, education, temperament, or anything else, Qi Siyu is not inferior to Zhong Tingyu and Bai Wuxi. Even better, because of the blessing of the identity of music teacher and university instructor. It's just that Li Yuan only has a sexual relationship with this sexy mentor, and there really isn't much emotion. Everything is just that two people each get what they need. Maybe, Qi Siyu will be more emotional and think that she fell in love with herself because of her talent. After all, she seems to really like her songs. Next to Li Yuan, Zhang Yuan naturally made preparations when he heard that Li Yuan wanted to buy a single-family villa, a large flat, a store, and an office building. As the largest real estate company in the imperial capital, and he himself is an ace real estate manager, there will naturally be no shortage of high-quality properties. In fact, before they met, after Li Yuan contacted him and stated his requirements, he had already started preparing all the houses that met Li Yuan's conditions. Zhang Yuan immediately lined up his chest and pledged. Mr. Li, our company has the best and top-notch houses in the whole capital. We have all your needs and are ready. Do you want to take some time to go and see it yourself? Li Yuan smiled and replied, okay, take us to have a simple look, and try to decide on the house in the next 2 days. Okay, Mr. Li, no problem, I will arrange it now, and you can go and see it at any time, Zhang Yuan replied quickly. Although he didn't know why Li Yuan bought so many luxury houses, from the number, area, and location of the stores that Li Yuan wanted. As a professional manager, Zhang Yuan naturally guessed some of Li Yuan's plans. Some time ago, he had heard about the national audition of Milk Tea Sister that was a sensation in the country and was well known. As for the new well-known milk tea brand Chayan USE that held the Milk Tea Sister selection event, it naturally reached his ears. It seems that Li Yuan wants to buy a store and is preparing to open a Chayan USE milk tea shop in the imperial capital. Zhang Yuan guessed in his heart, and he felt that the truth of the matter was probably close to the truth. However, this did not have much impact on him. Although there were some milk tea shops in the imperial capital, the real milk tea brand had not yet begun to sprout on a large scale. Li Yuan wanted to expand in the imperial capital, which was a very important good thing for him, and it could bring him a lot of money. Zhang Yuan said respectfully, Mr. Li, we have prepared all the properties you requested. If you are willing, we can go now. Li Yuan smiled slightly, lead the way. For most of the next day, Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu were looking at houses together. In addition to a courtyard house, there are 2 single-family villas with an area of about 1,000 square meters, and 3 large flats with good locations, which are in the same community as the villas. In addition, there are stores, all in the city's core area, prosperous areas, or around universities. There are a total of 30 stores, each with an area of about 100-300 square meters. A single store is worth millions. In addition to the stores, Li Yuan also looked at an office building, which was prepared to be the imperial capital branch of Chayan USE. If it weren't for the limited funds, he would have planned to buy a small building directly as a long-term base in the future. That night, Zhang Yuan warmly and sincerely invited Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu to have dinner together. Seeing the other party's cordial invitation, Li Yuan thought that there would be further cooperation, so he did not refuse. In the box, Zhang Yuan opened a bottle of collector's edition Mutai and said respectfully, Mr. Li, this is a vintage sauce wine. I have collected it for many years. Today, please help me taste it. Li Yuan smelled the aroma of the wine and couldn't help but be tempted to drink. He picked up the wine glass, put it to his nose and smelled it, and nodded secretly. This bottle of collector's edition Mutai alone is estimated to be worth tens of thousands. It is obvious that the other party also bleeds heavily. Li Yuan smiled, then it is better to obey than to be respectful. Zhang Yuan saw that Li Yuan was willing to drink, and thought to himself that he got it right this time, and he deserved to take out these 2 bottles of collector's edition Mutai. Come on, Mr. Li, I'll pour it for you. After drinking for a while, Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu went to the bathroom hand in hand. Only Zhang Yuan and Wen 11 were left alone in the box. After seeing Li Yuan generously buy a courtyard house worth hundreds of millions, Wen 11 put all her thoughts on how to take down Li Yuan. However, Zhong Tingyu was always with Li Yuan, so she didn't know how to start, and she didn't dare to act rashly. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 542. In fact, she was even afraid of being self-defeating and arousing Zhong Tingyu's resentment, which would lead to the failure of the cooperation. She didn't even dare to do some intimate gestures. Master, that woman has been following him around. I don't know how to start. Wangzi looked at Zhang Yuan worriedly and spoke in a low voice. Zhang Yuan chuckled. At this time, he did not want to backfire and arouse the resentment of Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu. Zixi, I can't bear the hot tofu in my heart. Just because there's no chance today doesn't mean there won't be any chance in the future. Wangzi asked in confusion, Master, what do you mean? Zhang Yuan inadvertently put his hand on Wen 11's long black stocking legs, and with the help of wine, he smiled calmly. Buying a house is never an easy thing, especially since Mr. Li has bought so many houses. Next, we still have a lot of time to deal with each other. If this is the case, the next time you meet Mr. Li without his female companion, then that's the time for you to really take action. As for now, just follow and learn from the experience with peace of mind. Zhang Yuan said and touched Wangzi's leg. Seeing Wangzi's blushing face, he felt itchy in his heart. The female disciple he took in was a little too coquettish. Even though he was married and had children, he still couldn't control himself. Zhang Yuan spoke meaningfully. Zixi, don't worry, follow me, master, and I will never treat you badly in the future. Wangzi glanced at his master Zhang Yuan's big hand on his thigh, his body trembled suddenly, and he didn't make any other expression, just nodded his head. Master, I listen to you. The next morning, when Zhang Yuan added up all the pre-purchase contracts for the properties that Li Yuan planned to buy and showed them to Li Yuan, his body was shaking constantly. Because this is a contract of extremely high value. It is the largest contract he has ever handled since he started working in this industry. Even for their real estate company, it is considered a very powerful cooperation. This even alerted the boss and manager of Chinsen Real Estate Company to come and sign a contract with Li Yuan in person. Mr. Li, here is a courtyard house, 2 villas, 3 large flats, 30 stores, and a contract for an office building. The total contract price is 450 million. Li Yuan glanced at the contract, consulted the entrusting law firm, and then signed his name. Happy to work with. After signing the contract, Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu returned to the hotel. Ritz-Carlton Hotel, Presidential Suite. After playing a poker game with a special posture, Li Yuan entered sage mode and spoke refreshedly. Little Moon, this time I came to the imperial capital, I have basically solved all the things I expected. The subsequent contract signing involves different homeowners and there are some procedures that will take some time to complete. Today is already the 8th day of the Lunar New Year, so let's return to the imperial capital first. Others in the company have also started to come to work. We need to hold a meeting to study and formulate the long-term development plan for 2009. Zhong Tingyu was tidying up her clothes while thinking back to the 4 days she spent with Li Yuan in the Magic City, feeling very satisfied. These 4 days, plus the 2 or 3 days in the Magic City, were the longest time the two of them had been alone together since she met Li Yuan. Other times, it's good enough for two people to be alone together for a day or two. Thinking of returning to the Magic City, Bai Wuxi has already come back, Xia's Haijin may come back too, and the university is about to start. A strong feeling of reluctance suddenly arose in Zhong Tingyu's heart. She wanted to stay here and stay with Li Yuan. However, she also knew that there was no point in continuing to stay in the imperial capital. Okay, senior, I'll book a flight for tomorrow. Okay, it's late today. You can go back early tomorrow morning. Li Yuan nodded. Zhong Tingyu suddenly asked, Senior, are you happy about this trip to the imperial capital? Looking at the bright lights outside the window, for some reason, a feeling of regret suddenly rose in my heart. Back and forth, he stayed in the imperial capital for more than 4 days, but there was no chance of him meeting that girl. Does it mean that I really don't even want to see you again in this life? Xiao Yuer. Li Yuan murmured to himself and sighed with mixed feelings. Since his rebirth, the person he feels most sorry for in this world is this girl. Unfortunately, there was no further news after that night. Early the next morning, Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu took a plane and returned to the Magic City. Chapter 310-2009 Industrial Development Plan. I'm back. It feels like I've spent a long time in the imperial capital, Li Yuan said with a smile. Zhong Tingyu suddenly shuddered. When I returned to the Magic City again, I thought it wasn't so cold anymore, but I didn't expect that the weather was still very cold. Li Yuan laughed. Coldness is a common trait. It is cold in both the north and the south. There doesn't seem to be much difference between the winter in the south and the north. They are both very cold. However, winter in the north is dry and cold with biting winds. The winter in the south is dark, humid, and cold. In comparison, Li Yuan still prefers the winter in the south. At least he can put his hands outside without worrying about frostbite. Returning to Xingawan Villa, seeing that Bai Wuxi was not at home, Zhong Tingyu asked curiously. Senior, where is Wei 11? Li Yuan shook his head. I don't know. 2 days ago, she said she went to her grandparents' house with her parents. Maybe she hasn't come back yet. Zhong Tingyu snorted and asked, Senior, what should we do next? Li Yuan thought for a while and replied, let's hold a meeting first to unify our thoughts and discuss and formulate the 2009 development plan for T-Beauty and Moonlight, as well as expansion plans in major cities, etc. There will be a lot of things, and we may all be busy during this period. Especially for the T-Beauty and Moonlight company, you have to pay more attention, and I may not be able to take care of it completely. Yeah. Don't worry, Senior. Zhong Tingyu nodded. Sometimes, she really felt sorry for Li Yuan. Although he was already financially free, he was still working so hard to create music, write novels, make games, make websites, make milk tea. He seems to be tireless and incredibly energetic. You know, when Li Yuan was doing these things, he had to accompany the three of them, both psychologically and physically, and he did a good job. By the way, little moon, if you get busy, you may not be able to take care of too much study. Do you want me to ask Principal Ma to say hello to your college professor? Zhong Tingyu is just a freshman. Although the study task is not heavy, it is not easy to take care of a large enterprise that is in the stage of rapid expansion while studying. Although he valued Zhong Tingyu's talent, he didn't want his beloved woman to be overworked because of work. That would be putting the cart before the horse. The purpose of starting a business and making money is to enjoy life, not to burden yourself. If that's the case, It's better to invest the money in the stock market and use the money to make money. Anyway, you can't spend all the money. Zhong Tingyu shook her head. Senior, there is no need to bother Principal Ma with this little matter. I am familiar with several professors in our college. Besides, I can let Ting Ro and Shan Shan copy the course materials. I am free. Sometimes, you can learn by yourself. Seeing Zhong Tingyu's strong look, Li Yuan couldn't help but reached out and touched her head with pity, and said dotingly, "Little Moon, many things don't need to be done by ourselves. We just need to control finances, personnel, and the general direction. Other trivial matters can be left to the employees below. Also, don't let yourself be so tired. Your husband and I are responsible for everything, and we are not short of money." Hearing that Li Yuan cared about her, Zhong Tingyu was deeply moved. Her beautiful eyes blinked like bright stars in the night sky. "Well, Senior, I know." After discussing development matters with Zhong Tingyu, Li Yuan immediately convened a meeting of the core employees of the Tea Beauty and Moonlight Company to conduct preliminary research and formulate this year's expansion plan. According to the plan, in the first half of this year, we will add 30 stores in Imperial Capital, 10 stores in Jincheng, 10 stores in Sicheng, 10 stores in Hangcheng, 15 stores in Yangcheng, and 15 stores in Shenzhen. At the same time, we must establish our own production workshops and company branches in the Magic City, Shenzhen, and Imperial cities. We will establish AR/U0026D and Logistics Center in Magic. Preliminary calculations show that the total investment in these stores and decoration will reach about 600 million to 1 billion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 543. Li Yuan stood on the stage and spoke freely, telling all his plans for the expansion of Chayan Use in 2009. He had discussed these plans in detail with Zhong Tingyu during the past few days in the imperial capital. Now is a very good time for expansion. Funds, fame, resources, nothing is lacking, and you can also buy some high-quality real estate in major cities in the name of investing in milk tea shops. In the next period of time, everyone here will be very busy. Some people will even have to work in other cities. Please be prepared. As soon as Li Yuan said this, everyone on the scene exclaimed and discussed. Really? Do we have to be sent to other cities? Our family, young and old, are all in the Magic City. What if we go to other places? It's too inconvenient. Some employees who have already started families and careers are a little worried and afraid of being selected. Some people also look at this expansion method rationally. This situation will definitely happen. It's the same for those big companies. As long as they expand, they will definitely be sent to other cities. Although we have left Shanghai, this is also an opportunity to go further. Naturally, some people are excited and look forward to it. This is a good thing. In Shanghai, we can only be the store manager of a branch, but in other cities, we can be a regional director. Apart from other things, the salary and benefits will be much higher. Besides, this expansion plan is all in other big cities, and life is also very comfortable. Sister Zhang is right. Our Chayan Use is so popular. It has been established for only a few months. It has reached this scale and will definitely continue to expand in other cities. I can see on the official website every day that many fans leave messages and want us to open milk tea shops in their cities. The discussion on the scene was endless, and Li Yuan smiled when he saw it. He naturally understood the situation and the mentality of these workers. Who would be willing to go to other cities if they can stay in Shanghai? It is equivalent to changing to a brand new city, a brand new circle of friends, and a brand new eating and living habits. However, there must be a brave man under a big reward. He didn't believe that with a high salary, there would be no one who would not want to leave the Magic City and work somewhere else. Even if no one wants to go, he can still recruit. Anyway, he also saw through that the development of Cheyenne USA mainly depends on its quality and its influence, commonly known as the brand effect. With the brand effect and the support of fans scattered all over the country, he didn't believe that Cheyenne USA would not develop. Li Yuan coughed, and the venue instantly became quiet. Dozens of eyes were staring at Li Yuan, waiting for his answer. The expansion plan is not achieved overnight. The candidates for expatriates will also strive for excellence and must have certain abilities. Of course, if you can be expatriated to other cities and contribute to the development of the company, the corresponding treatment will naturally be much higher. I believe you, this will be a number that many of you cannot refuse, and it is also an opportunity to move to a higher level. Listening to Li Yuan's answer, some of the store managers with lofty ideals in the audience suddenly had ideas. Although the Cheyenne USA catering brand is very busy, the salary and benefits are also very high. In the past few months, almost every clerk can get a monthly salary of 10,000 or 20,000 yuan, including bonuses. This has begun to spread throughout the entire catering service industry in Shanghai. High salary and benefits, as well as a good office environment, have made some young girls with a certain appearance but low academic level, all want to join in. However, after the first expansion of Magic City, Li Yuan did not recruit new employees, and they wanted to join in, but there was no way. At this time, a young girl with a very beautiful appearance and a good figure suddenly raised her hand in the audience. "Mr. Li, can I ask you a question?" Li Yuan looked at this beautiful girl and had some impression of her. She was a clerk he personally interviewed and recruited. She used to be a store manager in KFC, but later resigned for some reasons. Her management ability and personal conditions are very good. Li Yuan smiled slightly and joked, "Zhang Jing, you are bold to say it, I will not eat people." Zhang Jing was very moved when she heard Li Yuan call out her name. Her beautiful and charming little face was stained with a blush. Under Li Yuan's encouraging eyes and the attention of the audience, she spoke out the questions in her heart. "Mr. Li, what I want to ask you is, if our company is going to expand, will we continue to recruit new employees in Shanghai?" Li Yuan was startled. He didn't expect that this girl named Zhang Jing would ask about personnel issues. Since it is going to expand on a large scale, the personnel recruitment work must naturally be carried out simultaneously. In major cities, hundreds of new stores need to be opened. Although not all of them will open at the same time, a large number of new employees are also needed. He was about to talk about personnel recruitment next. Now someone asked, he just explained. Our company is going to expand, so naturally we need some new employees, which is what I will talk about next. Regarding personnel recruitment, naturally we will not only recruit in Shanghai, but mainly recruit in major cities. Recruiting some locals can also better get used to local living habits. As for the recruitment method, the company will adopt it flexibly and conduct it through online registration, recommendation from acquaintances, etc. If you have familiar friends or colleagues, you can also introduce them. After Li Yuan finished speaking, he smiled jokingly. However, you all know the requirements of our company. Cheyenne USA and Cheyenne USA have certain requirements for body shape and appearance. As soon as Li Yuan finished speaking, most of the people present burst into laughter. They are also young men and women with good looks and figures. Naturally, they know what Li Yuan liked in them during the interview. Appearance and figure come first. This is also the essential reason why they can earn salaries that are many times higher than those in other service industries on the market. This is the company paying for their appearance. The effect of this is also obvious. Except for some fans of Li Yuan. There are also a large number of people who come to Chiyan USE to buy milk tea because of their appearance. Zhang Jing, do you have anything else to ask? Li Yuan said. Zhang Jing quickly shook her head, no more, no more. Li Yuan smiled and looked at other employees, if you have any questions, you can raise them in these 2 days. 3 cobblers, 1 Zhujiang, and everyone's brainstorming can better promote the development of the company. In addition to suggestions, there are also some problems that the company currently has. You can also raise them. You are all on the front line and in charge of a store. You must know some of the problems better than I do. After hearing Li Yuan's words, the middle and high-level employees of Tea Beauty and Moonlight at the scene suddenly became interested and started to speak one after another. Mr. Li, I would like to make a suggestion, which is the issue of accommodation for employees. Many of us are out-of-towners. It is very troublesome and unsafe to rent an apartment alone. The areas where we work are all in the core area of the city. If the house we rent is far away, commuting to get off work will be inconvenient. Yes, we do have this problem. We usually have to work until after 10 o'clock in the evening. Although we can take turns, it feels a little scary to go home alone during the evening shift. It would be great if the company could be nearby and help us share the apartment. There are still some problems when we visit the store. We always encounter the entanglement of some suitors who are shameless. Sometimes, it will even affect the business of the store. I have another question. Our milk tea shop is well decorated and spaced, and the environment is very comfortable. Sometimes, the air conditioner is turned on and toilet paper is provided. Some people bring laptops and use this place as a leisure place district. They sit there for a long time, and we are too embarrassed to ask them to leave. Our business at Chiyan USE is very good. Sometimes, some surrounding shops will be jealous of us and secretly dump garbage and graffiti in front of our shop, which seriously affects the normal business and external image of our shop. There are people not far away from us who are also opening a milk tea shop under the guise of our Chiyan USE milk tea shop. Some customers have been deceived. After a while, the entire conference room became a little noisy, and various questions and suggestions were raised. Some questions and suggestions were completely unexpected by Li Yuan and existed in reality. Some questions even made Li Yuan frown. People are as afraid of being famous as pigs are afraid of being strong. Tea Face and Moonlight is such a hot seller and is so popular that it will naturally cause some people to covet it and make them feel unbalanced. Li Yuan looked at Su Yunting and made arrangements. Mr. Su, record all these problems and form a report based on the 4 aspects of existing problems, suggestions, solutions, and next steps, and report to my office. Chapter 311 Reverse Capitalist. Li Yuan, Datang Technology Group. Listening to Li Yuan's arrangement, Su Yunting nodded quickly. Okay, Mr. Li. Li Yuan waved his hand, signaling the employees who were discussing to stop. In an instant, the meeting room, which was originally noisy and buzzing like a vegetable market, suddenly became silent and a pin drop could be heard. Everyone looked at Li Yuan and waited quietly for his speech. Everyone's opinions and suggestions are all very good. After the meeting, they will be listed in detail and handed over to Director Su for summary. I will then think of solutions based on everyone's opinions and suggestions. Now that you have joined the big family of Chiyan USE, we are all one family. I also hope that you can regard this place as your own home and your own career, and work together to develop Chiyan USE into the #1 tea brand in China. Even, one day, we can go one step further and compete with internationally renowned brands such as Starbucks, McDonald's, and KFC. Everyone knows who I am as a person. As long as you work hard and devote yourself, I won't say much else. I will definitely give you adequate protection in terms of remuneration and personal development. When the time comes, whether it's a house, a car, or money, everything will be there. Tell me loudly, do you want these? As soon as Li Yuan said the words house, car, money / immediately, dozens of employees in the audience looked excited, turned red, and responded to Li Yuan loudly. Mr. Li, I want it. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ryu Xiahua. Chapter 544. I want it, I want it. Mr. Li, we want them all. Some girls seemed to shout Mr. Li, I want it deliberately and loudly, which made Zhong Tingyu beside Li Yuan look sideways. If an outsider suddenly came in, those who didn't know would think that they were confessing to Li Yuan. Humph, the charm of the stinky senior is too great, and there is no sense of security at all, Zhong Tingyu muttered in his heart. It's okay in the imperial capital. Although Li Yuan is famous, not many people have seen him. He is wearing a mask, so most people can't recognize him. But in the Magic City, it's completely different, especially in the company or school, that is the king of superstars that everyone pays attention to, and almost everyone knows him. Where he goes, he is an automatic focus machine, which will attract the attention of countless people. Especially some female fans, for a boy like Li Yuan who has a good figure, tall physique, talent, rich, and handsome, there is no resistance at all, just a group of crazy fans. As a result, Li Yuan's nickname Xiahua Male God has become more popular than his real name. Li Yuan looked at the atmosphere caused by his words and smiled slightly. He knew very well that housing prices would rise sharply in the future. At this time, it is necessary to stock up more houses. Especially these employees, they have low education and few skills, only good figure and appearance. Unless they give up their dignity and work in special service industries, otherwise, it is basically impossible to buy a house in Shanghai. And now, he is ready to give them a chance. An opportunity to buy a house in Shanghai directly. It is also an opportunity to change their lives. Looking at these young men and women, it is like seeing my former self. Many of them came to Shanghai from other places to work hard. How difficult is it to rely on their own efforts to gain a foothold in Shanghai? Girls are okay. If they have good conditions and are lucky, they may marry in Shanghai. Boys are in a bad situation. Unless they are very good, it is harder than climbing to the sky to buy a house and settle down in Shanghai with their own ability. If I had the ability to stay in Shanghai in my previous life, maybe everything would be completely different, right? Li Yuan thought so in his heart, looking at the dozens of excited young men and women in the conference room, and said with a smile. Just now, many people mentioned the problem of renting a house. The rent is expensive, the distance is far, it is difficult to go to work, it is unsafe, etc. In the conference room, when Li Yuan suddenly talked about renting a house, everyone listened attentively, not daring to miss any word. They have long been accustomed to Li Yuan's work style. When holding a meeting or arranging work, they don't say a single word of nonsense. Unlike other company bosses, they will talk for hours at any time, and when you listen, there is not even 10 sentences of substantive content. But Li Yuan is different. He has always been straightforward and directly cuts to the point, and rarely says those nonsense. Similarly, this made them understand that when Li Yuan spoke, they had to listen and remember attentively. Now, I make a decision on behalf of the company. Every month, the company will evaluate all stores, and conduct a comprehensive evaluation from multiple channels such as turnover, sales growth, customer feedback, etc. The store that wins the first place will receive a house reward. As soon as Li Yuan said this, there was an uproar in the conference room, causing heated discussions. No way, Mr. Li is too generous, a house, at least hundreds of thousands or millions, Mr. Li said it would be a reward. He, what Mr. Li said, how can it be false, it must be true, you know how generous Mr. Li is. House, I don't know how it's rewarded. The store I manage has always had good sales and is consistently ranked in the top 3. If I work harder, I might be able to get to the top. House prices have clearly started to rise. I heard privately that Mr. Li is also optimistic about the house prices in Shanghai and they will definitely rise in the future. I'm wondering whether I should use the money I've saved over the years to pay a down payment and buy a small 3-bedroom apartment. I also want to buy a house. For the down payment, I can pay the down payment with my own savings, plus the money my company gave me after I came to T-Color Moonlight, plus my parents can help me a little. I'm just afraid that if I lose my job and can't pay back the loan, it will be a big problem. It's definitely right to believe in Mr. Li. Mr. Li is a very good person. Since if you say that the housing prices in Shanghai will rise in the future, then it will definitely rise. It is better to buy it as soon as possible before the housing prices start to rise sharply. I was one of the first batch of people to work at Chaoyan USE. I was also recruited by President Li and President Zhong. I have only been working for 4 or 5 months. Thanks to President Li's kindness, I have earned nearly 100,000 yuan. Add to that the more than 100,000 yuan I saved before, and borrow some from my parents. Together with my boyfriend, I can afford the down payment and buy a nice house. I just hope that our Chaoyan USE can get better and better. Although it is a bit busy and tiring, it is really a sense of accomplishment. After the meeting, in Li Yuan's private office, Zhong Tingyu sat on Li Yuan's lap, with Li Yuan holding her waist. She looked at Li Yuan with a strange expression and asked, "Senior, do we really want to reward them with houses?" Li Yuan nodded first, then shook his head and explained. "Little Moon, I told you before that in big cities such as Magic City and Imperial City, housing prices will increase significantly in the future, and purchase restriction policies will appear in the future. If these employees don't buy now, they will probably not be able to afford it in the future. So, I want the company to come forward and buy some small apartments, school district houses, etc. to save money. Employees who make outstanding contributions in the future can also be rewarded with real estate. You should have understood that some other large companies will reward some senior employees with equity dividends. I don't want to give away the stocks, so I can only reward them in another way. How do you feel?" Zhong Tingyu suddenly laughed after hearing Li Yuan's plan. "Senior, you are really good to the employees below. I can guarantee that more than half of the female employees in our company have a good impression of you. When you said you wanted to reward you with a house, it felt like they all wanted to eat you." Woolen cloth. Li Yuan smiled, reached out and pinched her cheek. "Be serious, don't interrupt, let's get down to business." Goose, okay, let's get down to business." Zhong Tingyu stopped smiling, looked at Li Yuan seriously, and asked, "Senior, I believe what you said. In the future, housing prices in cities such as the Magic City and the Imperial City will rise sharply. I also agree with your idea of building more houses as a reward for employees. Other businessmen are capitalists who want to extract the last drop of surplus value from every worker. But you are simply a philanthropist. Your wages and benefits are even more generous than those of well-known foreign companies." Zhong Tingyu thought of the various high welfare benefits Li Yuan had provided to his employees since he started his business, and also thought of some of the news he had learned, and couldn't help but joke. "Senior, do you know that some people are already calling our company the company with the best wages and benefits in the catering service industry in Shanghai? I saw them saying something at night, they are stupid and have a lot of money, so come quickly." Li Yuan burst into laughter. "Although I have a lot of money, I am not stupid. They have to work very hard to come to our tea beauty and moonlight. This also pays for their appearance, figure, and hard work." Zhong Tingyu smiled sweetly and stared at Li Yuan with her beautiful eyes, full of affection and fluttering, as if she could speak. I want to ask, Senior, are you ready to buy it? Is it still the full payment?" Li Yuan Gang was about to answer, but seeing Zhong Tingyu's serious look, he asked curiously. "Little Moon, do you have any ideas?" Zhong Tingyu knew in her heart that Li Yuan didn't like borrowing money, especially when it came to buying a house. He seemed to have a special obsession with buying a house in full. Just like in the imperial capital these days, he bought many houses and stores. He could obviously get a mortgage to buy a house, but he chose to buy them all in full. This seems very refreshing, but in terms of capital allocation, it is actually very unreasonable. Especially when Li Yuan was very sure that the housing prices in the imperial and magical cities would rise sharply in the future. Doing so seemed very low-level and even stupid. "Senior, you have to promise me not to get angry if I say it, right?" Zhong Tingyu said with a smile. Li Yuan smiled and nodded. "Don't worry, I won't be angry." Seeing that Li Yuan agreed, Zhong Tingyu expressed her thoughts. "Senior, I think if the housing prices in Magic City and Imperial City are going to increase sharply in the future as you said, then we can just pay a down payment to buy a large number of properties, and then pay interest every month, etc. After the house price rises, sell it again. By doing this, we can save a lot of money to allocate assets and invest in more industries and properties. There is absolutely no need to keep buying a house with full payment. In that case, the funds will be wasted. Moreover, when investing in real estate, it is best to invest in small apartments, houses in school districts, etc. Chinese people attach great importance to their children's education, so it will be easier to sell in the future. We can purchase some properties in the name of the company and then obtain loans from banks. With our company's profitability and qualifications, this should be easy to do. Listening to Zhong Tingyu talking about her opinions, Li Yuan was very surprised. He didn't expect that she would do some research on real estate. Of course he understands this very well. After his rebirth, before going to college, when he first bought a house in Shanghai, he considered this issue, but he rejected it. Later, he bought several houses, including villas and large flats. This was where he and his girlfriend lived, so naturally he didn't consider taking out a loan. These investments, in fact, are not considered real investment properties. If you really want to invest in real estate, Zhong Tingyu's approach is right. Only by paying a down payment directly, then taking out a loan from the bank and optimizing the allocation of funds can you maximize the effect of funds. Little Moon, of course I understand what you said. Li Yuan spoke slowly. In the past, I thought that if the money was not invested in starting a business, it would be used to buy a house, which could be considered an investment. And, most importantly, I didn't want to take out a loan before, nor did I want to borrow money from the bank. However, according to what you just said, it is indeed best to buy a house with a mortgage. You can also rent out the house you bought and use the rental loan to support the loan. After the house price rises to a high point, you can directly sell it and cash out. Li Yuan paused, rubbed Zhong Tingyu's head, and smiled. "Okay, let's do as you say." According to the down payment loan method, in the name of the company, we will stockpile more houses. Moreover, my idea is that we should not only stockpile houses, but also buy a piece of land if possible. We will build a building by ourselves, and it will be called Datang Technology Group in the future. We can put Chayan Use, Jihu.com, King of Glory, and other industries in the future, all put together, so that it will be more impressive to outsiders. Little Moon, what do you think? Listening to Li Yuan's envisioned grand plan, Zhong Tingyu's beautiful eyes suddenly lit up, and her heart was greatly shocked, revealing expectations. The current company's financial resources are still difficult to get a good commercial land in the urban area of Modu. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 545. But with the level of revenue generated by Honor of Kings, this will not be a problem in the future. Even if you only make 10 million a day, you can make a profit of 300 million a month. Senior, I support you 100% with this idea. We can definitely plan in advance. Chapter 312 Sexy Tutor's Dating Diary. When Li Yuan was working in his hometown, he went to Hangzhou once. I also trained at Zhejiang University for 2 weeks. I saw the Alibaba building and found it very impressive. Now that he has the opportunity, he naturally wants to build a building for his own company. However, in a place like Shanghai where land is at a premium, it is not easy to get a piece of land to build a building. First of all, it's a matter of money. Without hundreds of millions of funds, you don't even have to think about getting land. Then there is the cost of design and construction, which also costs a lot of money, including future equipment, decoration, etc., which will cost a lot of money. In the first half of this year, in addition to continuing to accelerate the expansion of the Chayan USA milk tea shop, he is also trying to negotiate the acquisition of Yuandian Chinese network and has now begun preliminary discussions on intentions. Yuandian Chinese network is now one of the trendsetters in the online literature industry. Although it is not the leader it later became, accounting for half of the online literature market, it also has great brand value and has signed contracts with many internet giants including Zhongyuan 500. Especially for himself, as a part-time coder in his previous life, he has a deep understanding of this industry and a soft spot for the Yuandian Chinese website, which has deep-rooted plots. If we can take it down and acquire Yuandian Chinese network as our own industry, that would naturally be the best. He believes that under his guidance, the Origin Chinese website will definitely develop better than the Origin Time and Space. If it really doesn't work, they are unwilling to sell Yuandian Chinese network, or if the premium is too high. He is also planning to wait for the completion of Fighting in the Starry Sky to establish an online literature website on his own. With his current strength, he can build an online literature website in a week. Coupled with his current influence, it is not difficult to open a new website from scratch. Origin Chinese website is just his white moonlight, but this white moonlight is not unique or indispensable. There are alternatives. Li Yuan suddenly thought of the Xingguo Literary Club he established at Daxia University years ago. Under his guidance, some of the members who joined, such as Gao Xian, Li Lanrong, and others, had signed contracts with Yuandian Chinese network. Start writing some online novels. Although there has not been that kind of internet talent among them, yet, Li Yuan believes that as long as they study hard and follow his own guidance, they will gradually become famous in the future. Of course, the premise is that they must be able to persevere. This industry is nothing without persistence. At night, Bai Wuxi took the initiative to call Li Yuan to report her daily situation. "Brother, have you returned to the Magic City?" Li Yuan Gang and Zhong Tingyu finished handing out poker cards and studied a new posture today. Seeing Bai Wuxi calling at this time, a feeling of regret suddenly arose in their hearts. If we had played 10 minutes earlier, maybe we could have added a little more attack speed and a little more fun to this poker game just like last time, making this two-player poker game even more interesting. "I'm back, I didn't arrive until this morning." Li Yuan replied and asked again. "Xiao Bai, when will you come back?" Bai Wuxi's tone was full of longing. "Brother, since you have returned to the Magic City, I will come back too. My parents originally wanted to spend a few days at my grandparents' house." "Oh, then you should come back early, I miss you a little." Li Yuan smiled and said, "In the past few days, I have been with Zhong Tingyu a lot, and I really miss the smell of Bai Wuxi and Xia's Haijin. Especially Xia's Haijin, he hasn't seen her for almost 10 days. Occasionally make a phone call, chat, or make a video call, just like normal male and female college students spending the winter and summer vacations. Brother, you don't know, I've been very bored here these days and don't like the atmosphere here." Bai Wuxi spoke cheerfully and seemed to be in a good mood. He, let me tell you, I also met someone who was born on the same year, same month, and same day as me. Do you think it's a coincidence? Born on the same day, same year, same month. Li Yuan's expression changed, and he laughed dumbly. Really or not, such a coincidence. Of course it's true, Bai Wuxi asked deliberately. Brother, don't you want to know, is he a boy or a girl? Listening to Bai Wuxi's inquiry, Li Yuan suddenly felt an uncomfortable feeling, which made him feel a little baffled. Xiao Bai, can it be a boy? Li Yuan didn't realize that his tone had changed somewhat when he asked this question. Bai Wuxi, who said this deliberately and waited to see Li Yuan's reaction, naturally heard the change in Li Yuan's tone. Seeing that Li Yuan suddenly became a little nervous, Bai Wuxi became very happy for some reason. She just liked the way Li Yuan was nervous about himself. It made her feel like she was back in high school. At that time, every time she received love letters or confessions from other boys, Li Yuan was always very nervous. Hee, bratty brother, he is really a boy. You shouldn't be jealous, right? Bai Wuxi joked. When Li Yuan heard that Bai Wuxi, who was born on the same year, month, and day, was actually a boy, the jealousy in his heart suddenly became uncontrollable and surged throughout his body. He was obviously a little jealous, but he pretended to be tough and answered. Oh. It was just the word oh, but Bai Wuxi was so smart that he immediately understood that Li Yuan was jealous. She was happy in her heart, with smiles on her eyes and face, and she said coquettishly. Smelly brother, stop being jealous. Li Yuan snorted slightly and replied, I'm not jealous. What's there to be jealous about? Am I such a jealous person? Bai Wuxi saw that Li Yuan was still speaking harshly. She pursed her lips and chuckled, and answered according to Li Yuan's words. Of course, brother Stinky has never been jealous. Just like before, he won't be jealous because I talk to other boys, he won't be jealous because other boys give me gifts, he won't be jealous because other boys confess to me. Goose, this time, someone will definitely not be jealous, right? Listening to Bai Wuxi's joking words, Li Yuan looked a little embarrassed. What she said was completely ironic. When I was in high school, I was often jealous because of the things Bai Wuxi said. There is no way, with Bai Wuxi's appearance, figure, personality, and grades, she was simply the perfect dream lover and ideal girlfriend of all boys in high school. There are indeed countless boys chasing her. If he hadn't been the flower protector to intimidate her. If those boys who are not good at height, good looks, bad at studying, or have bad family backgrounds are kept away, Bai Wuxi will have more suitors. Before Li Yuan could speak, Bai Wuxi's voice came over immediately, explaining to Li Yuan gently. Okay, you bratty brother who is never jealous, hee, let me tell you secretly that this boy who was born on the same day, same year, same month, and same year as me is the grandson of my mother's third uncle. Well, to a certain extent, he is also my cousin. After listening to Bai Wuxi's explanation, Li Yuan's expression softened, and the worry and jealousy in his heart disappeared, and he asked curiously. Auntie's third uncle's son? Your cousin? Isn't that your uncle's son? Bai Wuxi snorted and explained, he's not my uncle, he's my mother's cousin's son. By the way, brother, there's an even better coincidence. Do you know what it is? Li Yuan said in surprise, oh, what is it? Bai Wuxi smiled and said, this distant cousin is in the same school as us and in the same class. Do you think it's a coincidence? Li Yuan felt something strange in his heart, but he couldn't tell what was strange. He just replied lightly. It's quite a coincidence indeed. Bai Wuxi listened to Li Yuan's calm voice and felt that Li Yuan was a little unhappy, so he quickly changed the topic. Brother, I miss you so much. Hee, you don't know, at my grandparents' house, my parents have already praised you to the sky. Hearing his mother-in-law and father-in-law praise him, Li Yuan suddenly became interested and asked curiously. Oh, why did my uncle and aunt praise me? And why did they praise me? Bai Wuxi smiled and said, of course I praise you for your talent, good grades, tall and handsome man, you have started a business, and you are also very kind to me. You don't know, their expressions were so wonderful at that time. They also asked me, when will you be free, let me take you over to see them. He, but I decisively rejected him. I don't like that big family very much. I feel very snobbish and a bit dissatisfied with the poor and love the rich. You don't know, when I went there when I was a kid, their attitude was so bad. They couldn't even look at me, and they called me a country bumpkin. I can remember it for the rest of my life. Li Yuan smiled, this kind of thing is too normal. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 546. Disliking the poor and loving the rich, being snobbish and looking down on others will exist in any era and anywhere. Even he had encountered this before after his rebirth. However, now that he is famous and has successfully started a business, he is considered a young entrepreneur with money. Generally, people who know him will say a few compliments. Of course, this was partly due to the fact that he didn't know many high-ranking officials, nobles, or officials' children. He doesn't really want to blend into the so-called upper-class circle. He earns his own money and spends it himself. He can obviously live a good life, so why bother looking for trouble? In this life, I want to live happily, live without being wronged, live freely, and leave no regrets. After chatting with Bai Wixi for a while, Li Yuan felt sleepy and wanted to sleep. In a certain county in East China, inside a two-story old house, Qi Siyu looked at a photo of Li Yuan on her phone with a look of longing in her eyes, and softly hummed a song with a beautiful melody at the corner of her mouth. Later, I never saw such a beautiful sunset. When it gets dark, the shadows will disappear at the intersection. The one who waved his hand was gentle but still accompanied me in my sleepwalking. It's the evening breeze, it's the galaxy, it's the song I hum. Qi Siyu was humming a song when suddenly, a familiar voice came from her mother, and at the same time, there was a knock on the door. Siyu, are you up? Qi Siyu stretched lazily. Although she was only wearing a sweater, her perfect figure was still highlighted. Qi Siyu put a light white thick down jacket on her body, opened the door and asked. Mom, what's wrong? Qi Siyu's mother's name is Shen Qiang. She is over 50 years old and has gray hair on her temples. She is wearing a black down jacket. She frowns slightly when she sees Qi Siyu looking like she just woke up. What time is it? Are you still in bed? Get up quickly, someone is coming to our house soon. Qi Siyu was very speechless. Mom, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's nothing to do, why should I get up so early? I'm on vacation, why not just sleep in at home? Shen Qiang scolded dissatisfiedly, sleep, 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 you sleep at home from morning to night and don't go out. I really don't want to talk about you. Qi Siyu snorted, if you don't want me at home, I will go back to the Magic City tomorrow. It's hard to go home to celebrate the new year, but I feel like I'm being urged every day, and I can't even sleep in. Hearing that her daughter had come up with another killer, Shen Qiang's expression remained unchanged today, but she spoke slightly excitedly. Hurry up and clean up, wash your face, put on makeup, comb your hair, and dress up nicely. Listening to her mother's words, Qi Siyu felt a little confused. These days, she stayed at home alone and rarely went out. She didn't see her mother's instructions. Why was she urging herself to put on makeup now? Is there some fraud in this? Qi Siyu asked in confusion, Mom, I stay at home all the time, why do I put on makeup? Shen Qiang looked a little unnatural and glared at Qi Siyu, whatever you want, clean up quickly, there will be guests coming later. A guest is coming, Chi Siyu asked curiously, who is it? It's the 8th day of the Lunar New Year, who's coming to visit relatives? Shen Qiang snorted and said, you'll know in a while. Get up quickly. Oh, okay, Chi Siyu muttered reluctantly. She always felt that her mother was particularly weird today. After washing up and before she could put on makeup, Chi Siyu heard a stranger's voice at the door. Chi Siyu tied up her hair casually, walked to the living room curiously, and saw her mother, Shen Qiang, talking excitedly to a woman who looked to be in her 40s or 50. Next to this woman, there is a young man with a crew cut who is not very tall but dressed very formally. He is carrying a fruit basket in one hand and a Coke and Sprite suit in the other. What's going on? Chi Siyu was very confused, and an ominous premonition suddenly lingered in his heart. Before she could figure it out, her mother, Shen Qiang, saw her out of the corner of her eye and waved to her. Siyu, come here quickly. Chi Siyu came to the living room with a puzzled expression. As soon as he stopped and before he could speak, he heard the strange middle-aged woman in front of him staring at her with bright eyes. Sister Shen, is this your girl? She is so beautiful. Shen Qiang replied humbly, well, this is my girl Siyu. She has been teaching at Shanghai University and came back during the Chinese New Year. Not bad. Not bad, the middle-aged woman looked at Chi Siyu from top to bottom and nodded repeatedly. Then, she touched the young man who was staring blankly with her arm and reminded. Xiao Feng, don't be in a daze, hurry up and say hello. Chapter 313 Chi Siyu, Mom, let me show you something. Hearing the matchmaker's urging, the young man woke up from his daze and quickly calmed down. Just now, the moment he saw Chi Siyu, he was stunned. Black hair shawl, still exuding the fragrance of freshly washed hair, long and slender legs, a curvy figure, a face without makeup, even without makeup, she is still incredibly beautiful. From a distance of 2 or 3 meters, you can clearly smell the fragrance of freshly washed hair, and your slightly confused pair of beautiful eyes are sexy and ecstatic. At this moment, Chi Siyu in front of him was like a fairy from heaven descending to earth. He was so excited that he fell in love with her at first sight. At this moment, a voice sounded in Zhang Feng's heart. The girl in front of him was the one he dreamed of. Hello, my name is Zhang Feng. I am 27 years old. I now work for the Suchun city government. Chi Siyu listened to the self-introduction of the young man in front of him and the look in his eyes just now. His mind was confused and he couldn't figure out what was going on. Out of politeness, Chi Siyu just replied lightly. My name is Chi Siyu. Then, nothing more happened. Zhang Feng saw Chi Siyu's cold expression, the ambition and passion in his heart, and it was as if a basin of cold water had been poured on him instantly. If he had gone on a blind date before and faced such a cold-hearted blind date, he would have been unaccustomed to it and walked away directly. What is his identity? He is the mayor's secretary with a bright future. He has a prosperous career. He doesn't like ordinary women at all. If he hadn't heard the matchmaker praise Chi Siyu so highly that he was unique, like a fairy, and a serious university teacher, he wouldn't have even looked at it. But today, facing the girl Chi Siyu, his heart seemed to be suddenly intruded, leaving traces on it, and his heart beat uncontrollably. Siyu, this name is very nice and very artistic. The flying flowers are as light as dreams, and the boundless silk rain is as thin as sorrow. Zhang Feng looked at Chi Siyu affectionately, and quoted an ancient poem in praise. Shen Qiang listened to Zhang Feng's words and became more satisfied with it, and said quickly. Young man, you have good academic skills. Which university did you graduate from? When Zhang Feng heard Shen Qiang asking him which university he graduated from, he immediately raised his head proudly and answered confidently. Auntie, I graduated from the Department of Chinese Language and Literature of Yenching University. My undergraduate and master's degrees were both at Yenching University. Ah, From Yanqing University. It's so powerful. Shen Qiang's eyes brightened even more, and she sighed from the bottom of her heart. In the eyes of everyone in China, Huaqing University and Yanqing University represent the top class and genius. After Zhang Feng finished speaking, the middle-aged woman on the side quickly praised Zhang Feng. Sister Shen, this kid Xiao Feng is very promising. He is now working in the city government as a secretary with a deputy mayor. He has a bright future. If your girl follows Xiao Feng, she can become an official wife in the future. Zhang Feng suddenly smiled heartily when he heard the matchmaker praising him. He glanced at Qi Siyu secretly, saw her frowning, and thought she didn't understand the value of it, so he explained with a smile. Aunt Chen is overly praised. I just followed Mayor Liu and gained Mayor Liu's respect. I did some service work, wrote speeches, and the like. I'm not an official. I just enjoyed the treatment of a serious professional. The middle-aged woman quickly echoed and said with a smile, Xiao Feng, don't be modest. Mayor Liu thinks highly of you. After you learn from Mayor Liu for a few years, you might be able to become the county magistrate of our county in the future. Hearing the words be the county magistrate, Shen Qiang's eyes widened even more as she looked at Zhang Feng with even more fondness. Although the opponent is not very tall, only over 1.7 years old. But my family, appearance, and education are all very good, especially my job. I am the mayor's secretary. I have a bright future, and I am worthy of my daughter. Thinking of this, Shen Qiang glanced at Qi Siyu out of the corner of her eye. Seeing her relaxed brows, she quickly urged. Siyu, Xiao Feng has come all the way. Go get a glass of water and have a chat with me. Qi Siyu understood now. What does the scene mean today? My mom, are you going on a blind date for me? Qi Siyu's eyes widened, feeling unbelievable. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 547. Without her knowledge, her mother brought her blind date home. Have you asked her opinion on this? Besides, during the Chinese New Year, she told her mother that she already had a boyfriend. It's just that he didn't say it was Li Yuan. Because Li Yuan is so famous, and his mother is not a fool, nor is she isolated from the world. She will definitely recognize him, but it is hard to explain. Thinking that his mother had arranged a blind date for him, Qi Siyu's pretty face suddenly became a little ugly. He wanted to directly complain, but he was afraid that his mother would not be able to step down. My brain turned quickly and I quickly thought of a good idea. She nodded, just came to the kitchen silently, and quickly called her best friend Liang Jingjing to explain the situation. Jingjing, my mother is giving me a blind date, wait a minute. After the call was connected, Qi Siyu was interrupted by Liang Jingjing before she could finish speaking. What? Siyu, your mother arranged for you to go on a blind date? Is it true? Qi Siyu sighed helplessly, of course it is true, everyone came to my house and killed me by surprise. Damn it, Siyu, didn't you say you had a boyfriend? After hearing this, Liang Jingjing couldn't help but curse. She knew the relationship between Qi Siyu and Li Yuan, and she also knew that Li Yuan and Li Yuan bought a house for his best friend with full payment, and also gave 1 million to buy a car. This kind of boyfriend who is rich, generous, talented, handsome, and has a very, very, very nice body, if he doesn't cherish it, why would he still go on a blind date? Did he get kicked in the head by a donkey? In her opinion, there are countless beautiful girls in China who want to take the initiative to throw themselves into their arms, but they can't get it. Including herself. Qi Siyu said speechlessly, I told you, but my mother doesn't believe it, and I can't show her Li Yuan's photo for the time being. Stop talking about this, wait 2 minutes and you give me a call. I'll pretend it's my boyfriend. They will definitely understand what I mean. Liang Jingjing was very smart and knew Qi Siyu's thoughts instantly. Okay, don't worry, We are good sisters, if I don't help you, who will? Yeah, don't forget, call me immediately in 2 minutes, Chi warned. After hanging up the phone, Chi calmed down, poured 2 cups of tea, brewed the tea leaves, and slowly brought it to the coffee table in the living room. Auntie, Secretary Zhang, please have tea, Chi spoke politely. Zhang Feng stood up quickly, looking flattered. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your hard work. The matchmaker also praised, this girl is so sensible. She deserves to be a university teacher. Shen Qian naturally wanted to earn face for her daughter, so she also praised her. Yes, my Siyu has been very obedient since she was a child. She has never been in love before. Before the words fell, suddenly, a beautiful song sounded. Later, I have never seen such a beautiful sunset. When it gets dark, shadows will disappear at the intersection. Listening to her own singing of the song, Li Yuan wrote for her. Chi Siya quickly looked at her phone and saw the call notification, her heart pounding. Pretending to be slightly nervous, he looked at the people in front of him and spoke cheerfully, his voice clearly audible to Zhang Feng, matchmaker, and others. Sorry, my boyfriend called. I'll answer it. After Chi Siya finished speaking, without waiting for the reactions of the people in the living room, he hurriedly ran back to the bedroom with a shy look on his face. After Chi Siya leaves, the atmosphere in the living room instantly cooled down. Zhang Feng looked dazed, with a stunned expression, a bit unbelievable. Just now, he was still imagining that such a peerless beauty would become his other half. In the blink of an eye, this dream was shattered. Does the other person already have a boyfriend? Then why do you still let yourself go on a blind date? His reaction, and the reaction of the matchmaker on the side, can be imagined. I immediately didn't want to. Shen Qian, what you are doing is a bit unethical, isn't it? You already have a boyfriend, and you drag me on a blind date? Are you treating us like monkeys? Shen Qian was also furious. She never expected that her daughter would come out like this. During the Chinese New Year, she also asked her daughter if she had a boyfriend. At that time, her daughter's answer was, yes. However, when she pressed further and asked to show the video, her daughter refused. Coupled with her observations in the past few days, she believed that Chi Siyu was not in love at all and must have lied to her. That's why I dragged this good sister in front of me and asked if there were any particularly outstanding unmarried boys around. Hung Mei, there may be a misunderstanding. This girl Siyu doesn't think she has a boyfriend, Shen Qian explained quickly. The matchmaker snorted and replied dissatisfied, Sister Shen, do you really not know if your daughter has a partner? If she and Shen Qian hadn't known each other for many years, they would be considered familiar, but due to their feelings, she was already yelling at him at this moment. How could anyone be so playful? Shen Qian knew that she was in the wrong, so she could only smile with her face. Hung Mei, Xiao Zhang, you guys sit down and drink some tea first, and I'll go ask what's going on. In the bedroom, Chi Siyu was talking to Liang Jingjing on the phone happily. Suddenly, I heard the bedroom door being opened. Shen Qian looked at her daughter angrily with a sullen face and asked. Chi Siyu, when did you have a boyfriend? Chi Siyu looked stunned and quickly hung up the phone. Looking at her angry mother, she felt very irritated and said dissatisfiedly. Mom, during the Chinese New Year, I told you that I already have a boyfriend. Why don't you believe me? Shen Qian sneered, okay, you said you have a boyfriend, then I ask you to make a video and show it to me. Why don't you dare to show it to me? Chi Siyu was startled, his brain immediately started to spin, and he quickly thought of an explanation. Mom, I told you, his company is very busy, and he has gone abroad for official business, so it is not convenient to start a video, and he doesn't use QQ abroad. After hearing Chi Siyu's explanation, Shen Qian asked dubiously. Really, you didn't lie to me. Do you really have a boyfriend? Chi Siyu nodded quickly. Mom, of course it's true. When did I lie to you? Shen Qiang sneered. During the Chinese New Year last year, you lied to me that you had a boyfriend. Chi Siyu was choked. Her mother was right. Last year, in order to avoid a blind date, she told her that she had a boyfriend, but it was revealed in the end. She remembered that in order to avoid the blind date, she vowed to bring a boyfriend back this year. Ahem, Mom, it's true this time, I really have a boyfriend. Really? Shen Qian was still a little doubtful. Since he is on a business trip abroad, can you show me the photos of you together? Chi Siyu panicked. She naturally had photos of her and Li Yuan together on her phone. She also secretly took many photos of Li Yuan. However, if it were taken out at this time, wouldn't it be possible that the secret would be exposed? Seeing her daughter's hesitant and confused look, Shen Qian couldn't help but sneered. You also said that you weren't lying to me. Shouldn't you tell me that you don't even have a photo of you together? Of course not. Chi Siyu quickly denied it. Just when she was thinking of a way to answer, she suddenly saw her brand new fruit phone. This was a small gift that Li Yuan gave to her and Liang Jingjing when they went shopping together. Mom, this is the mobile phone I just replaced. Our photos are all on the computer in Shanghai. Besides, who uses a mobile phone to take pictures? We all use digital cameras. Shen Qian looked at the new mobile phone in Chi Siyu's hand and asked dubiously, is it really like this? You didn't lie to me. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 548. Of course it's true, Chi Siyu replied quickly. He was thinking about other evidence when he turned his eyes and suddenly saw the Mercedes-Benz key in his bag. Suddenly, an idea flashed in my mind, and I thought of a way to prove it. She reached into her LV bag, took out the white Mercedes-Benz key decorated with cute little stuffed animals, and waved it in front of her mother. Mom, look, this is the car he gave me. Shen Qian naturally recognizes the Mercedes-Benz logo. Mercedes-Benz is considered a luxury car in this small county in northern Jiangsu. She took the car keys from Chi Siyu and looked at them carefully, looking a little shocked. Do you already have a car? Or a Mercedes-Benz? Chi Siyu nodded with a smile. Yeah, this is the car he gave me. I didn't lie to you, right? Shen Qian was shocked for a while, then regained her composure and frowned. Is this for you? Or is it just for you? You are young and not very experienced in the world. Don't be deceived. I heard that some rich people are the best at deceiving others. Chi Siyu was very speechless. Seeing that her mother still didn't believe it, she had no choice but to show her trump card. Mom, wait a minute, I'll show you something. After saying that, she went to the cabinet and took out a suitcase from the top. Then, under Shen Qian's shocked gaze, he took out two notebooks, one red and one green. Mom, look. Shen Qian took the two notebooks tremblingly and looked at the house ownership certificate and motor vehicle registration certificate on them, feeling a little panicked. When she opened the property certificate and saw the name Chi Siyu written on it, she was completely stunned. Siyu, is this true? Chapter 314 Chi Siyu, hey, where is my aunt? Shen Qian looked at the house title certificate and motor vehicle registration certificate several times. She still felt unbelievable when she saw the clear name Chi Siyu and the steel seal on them. What the hell is going on? Not only does your daughter have a boyfriend, but she also has a house and a car? The house is a house in Shanghai, and the car is a Mercedes-Benz. Is this really not a dream? These days, she is still trying her best to find people to help her find some good blind dates. In the blink of an eye, my daughter told me that her boyfriend had bought a house and a car in her name. Shen Qian felt that the world suddenly became a little magical. Siyu, What on earth is going on? Shen Qiang's voice was trembling slightly. She now had a million reasons in her heart. Qi Siya couldn't help but smile to herself when she saw her mother's appearance. Sure enough, as Liang Jingjing said, houses and cars are always the most lethal things to girls. Especially the parents' generation is simply a weapon of mass destruction, and the effect is very terrifying. Because this is something imprinted in the genes of Chinese women, and no one can erase it. Qi Siyu smiled secretly in her heart, with a smile on her face, and explained softly. Mom, didn't I tell you just now? My boyfriend gave this to me. Shen Qian was still very shocked and confirmed again, is this really yours? Qi Siyu said helplessly, of course it's true. Aren't the real estate certificate and motor vehicle registration certificate both here? My name is written on them. Shen Qian was in a daze. Siyu, do you really have a boyfriend? Mom, you are so cute, Qi Siyu sighed silently, holding her forehead. Mom, you don't think that with my little salary, I can afford a house and a car in Shanghai? Shen Qian said with mixed feelings in her heart, Mom just can't believe it. The house in Shanghai and the Mercedes-Benz together cost more than 1 million, right? Is your boyfriend giving it to you now? Qi Siyu smiled sweetly, with a happy smile on her face. Yeah, he's been very kind to me. He bought everything in full. I don't have any financial pressure at all. The house is over 1 million, the car is 5 to 600,000, and I still have 4 to 500,000 pocket money. Oh my God, Shen Qian exclaimed, only then did she believe what her daughter said. She solemnly handed the real estate certificate and vehicle registration certificate to Qi Siyu and warned. Put these away and be sure not to lose them. After saying that, he glared at Qi Siyu who was smiling and complained, and muttered dissatisfiedly. You kid, you didn't tell me you had a boyfriend earlier, which made me make arrangements to find you a blind date. The situation is so ugly now, I can't stand it. Your Aunt May should have scolded me to death by now. Qi Siyu replied speechlessly, Mom, when you and my dad asked when I first came home, I already told you that I have a boyfriend. You don't believe it and insist on going on a blind date for me on your own initiative. Can you blame me? Shen Qiang snorted, Humph, if you had come up with these earlier, could I still not believe it? Qi Siyu chuckled and said, I don't want to be jealous. I thought you believed it? Shen Qiang reached out and tapped Qi Siyu's head, laughing and scolding, you damn girl, this is all your fault. Forget it, I'll go talk to your Aunt May, and you can follow me down and explain. Qi Siyu shook her head quickly and said coquettishly, Mom, I don't want to go. It's too embarrassing. You can explain yourself to the trouble you caused. Seeing that Qi Siyu was determined not to go down, Shen Qiang didn't insist either. Okay, I'll explain it properly. In the living room downstairs, the middle-aged woman Hung Mei and the mayor's secretary Zhang Feng both had gloomy faces and ugly expressions. The middle-aged woman comforted Zhang Feng, Xiao Feng, what's the specific situation? Let's wait. Shen Qiang and I have been friends for more than 10 years. She shouldn't use this kind of thing to play with me. Zhang Feng's eyes were uncertain, and he didn't know what he was thinking. When he first met Qi Siyu, he was really moved and very satisfied. Whether it was appearance, figure, education, temperament, or work, it all matched his psychological conditions. Before this blind date, he had seen Qi Siyu's photos and knew about her situation. He knew that she had not been in love yet and was emotionally blank, so he was willing to come over for a blind date. Otherwise, he, a secretary to the mayor with a promising future, would never have come. He has no shortage of partners, let alone women. Those who want to queue up to introduce him to his girlfriend can line up from the municipal office to the Municipal People's Congress. Zhang Feng took a deep breath. Although he was very angry, the city government, as a public official, still allowed him to calm down. Aunt May, it's okay. There may be a misunderstanding. Seeing that Zhangfeng was not angry, the middle-aged woman felt relieved and said with a smile, yes, there may be some misunderstanding. Shen Qiang is not that kind of person. I have already inquired about this child, see you. He has always been self-respecting since he was a child. He has a very good personality. He also studies music and is very good at playing the piano and talking. Zhangfeng smiled and said nothing, picked up the teacup, took a sip, and sniffed slightly. On this teacup, there is still a faint fragrance left by Qi Siyu's fingertips. After a while, Shen Qian came to the living room full of apologies. Before Shen Qian could speak, the middle-aged woman on the side began to stand up and question him. Sister Shen, what's going on today? Shen Qian said with some embarrassment, Hong Mei, this is all my fault. I was asked to do this. I'm so sorry. Listening to Shen Qian's answer, the middle-aged woman and Zhangfeng both felt their hearts pounding and had a bad premonition. The middle-aged woman frowned and her voice rose a few decibels. What exactly is going on? Please explain it clearly. Does your Siyu really have a boyfriend? Shen Qian nodded and said very apologetically, well, I'm so sorry. I thought this girl was lying to me like before. Who knew that her boyfriend had already bought her a house in Shanghai and a car? I'm really sorry. I made a mistake. The middle-aged woman and Zhangfeng looked at Shen Qian, who was apologizing. They were obviously apologizing, but why did it sound like they were showing off? I bought a house and a car for Qi Siyu in Shanghai. Could it be that the other party also found a rich second generation? Zhangfeng has always been very confident in his own strength, but at this time, he couldn't sit still. His family in Sichuan can only be regarded as average. Although his parents are both in the system, they are not considered high-ranking officials, and they cannot be said to be second-generation officials. It's just that he works hard and has the status of Yenching University, so he can be looked down upon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 549. However, all this is not so easy to do in front of the rich second generation who is willing to buy a car and a house for his girlfriend in Shanghai. This reminded him of some bad past events. When I was in college, I also pursued a beautiful schoolgirl, but that schoolgirl fell in love with a rich second-generation student from an ordinary university in another school. Zhang Feng, who has always been a proud man of heaven, and whose self-esteem was frustrated, couldn't stand it any longer. He stood up and said with a red face, Aunt May, Aunt Chen, the mayor wants to see me if there is something urgent. I'm leaving first. After his mother left, Qi Siyu patted Shuguqiao's chest and took a deep breath. Hey, I'm such a clever little guy. I finally got my mom. I won't be urging me to find a boyfriend every day in the future. Just thinking. Suddenly, the phone rang again. Qi Siyu picked up the phone and saw that it was a text message from Liang Jingjing. Siyu, how's the battle going? Have you found this blind date? Qi Siyu replied, it's done, it's the same method you said. Soon, Liang Jingjing replied, the method I mentioned? Did you show the real estate certificate to your uncle and aunt? Qi Siyu, yeah, I showed both the real estate certificate and the motor vehicle registration certificate to my mother. He, you don't know, she was shocked at the time. Liang Jingjing, can you not be shocked? The house in Shanghai and the Mercedes-Benz car are all fully paid for. Not to mention your mother, I am extremely envious. What does your blind date look like? What was his reaction when he found out? Qi Siyu, he is of average height, not tall, and is dressed formally, but he looks a little greasy. He is a civil servant. Liang Jingjing, civil servant? That's okay. But the salary of civil servants here is too low. They can't even afford a bag with a year's salary. They are not worthy of you at all. By the way, see you, when are you going back to Magic City? Staying at home is boring, and my mother is urging me to go on a blind date every day. It's annoying to death. Chi, see you, I'm the same as you. I was very happy when I first came home. My mother takes care of me with good food and drink every day. It's only been more than half a month. She picks on me every day. Why do I wake up late or sleep in? I can't go out for a walk. I'm so annoyed. Liang Jingjing, then let's go back early. Hee hee, don't you miss your family? Are you thinking of going to ML? Chi Siyu looked at the message sent by Liang Jingjing, her body trembled suddenly, and she had a strange reaction. She had just turned 25 this year, and not long after she tasted the forbidden fruit for the first time, it was like a Pandora's box had been opened. It was the time when her needs were at their peak. Every night, she couldn't help but think about the time she spent with Li Yuan. Humph, you damn girl, I think you want it, right? Liang Jingjing smiled and said, hey, I'm different from you. You eat meat, and I just drink some soup. Now I can't even drink the soup. See you, tell me, are you going to leave tomorrow, or should you wait until the 15th day of the first lunar month? Chi Siyu was hesitating when she suddenly thought that what Li Yuan said when chatting with her that night was that he would prepare a surprise for her. She had been thinking about it for a long time and didn't know what surprise Li Yuan had prepared for her. Well, I have decided to go back to Shanghai tomorrow. Can I buy a ticket now? Liang Jingjing quickly replied to the message, we are not far from the Magic City, only 3 or 4 hours drive, and there are many shuttle buses. If it doesn't work, we can just rent a car. I want you to drive that Mercedes-Benz back. You are still not happy, now you regret it? Chi Siyu sighed, I regret it a bit. We were afraid of traffic jams on the expressway, and we didn't drive much trains. Oh, if I had known better, I would have driven back. Liang Jingjing, it's okay. When we get back to school, we can practice driving more and then we can drive back. Okay, leave the car to me. You can pack it up today. We'll see you tomorrow. I ended my chat with my best friend. Chi Siyu blinked her beautiful eyes and turned to the chat history with Li Yuan. The last chat time was fixed on January 31, 2009, which was the day before yesterday, the 6th day of the Lunar New Year. If people don't take the initiative to look for you, you won't take the initiative to look for me. I really don't have any feelings for you, Chi Siyu snorted dissatisfied. Sometimes she feels very complicated and helpless. After meeting Li Yuan, she seemed to be possessed. She suddenly fell for his talent and handsomeness. She became indifferent as soon as her head got hot. Love, sometimes, really makes people lose their minds. During the days when she went home for the spring festival, she also wondered whether it was worth it. But in the end, the thought in her heart told her with great determination. It's worth it? Who hasn't been impulsive when they were young? Even if you fall to pieces, even if others look at you strangely, as long as you are happy in your heart, even if you are separated in the end and can't get together in the end, so what? If you have loved, don't regret it. Moreover, Li Yuan was really kind to her and fulfilled all her wishes for an ideal and perfect boyfriend. After thinking for a while, Chi Siyu plucked up the courage and sent a message to Li Yuan. Great talent, what are you doing? While Chi Siyu waited anxiously, after a long while, her phone vibrated. She quickly looked at it with expectancy, but suddenly became disappointed and muttered dissatisfied. This 10,086 is really annoying. He sends messages every day. It would be great if I could block him. Just as he finished muttering, his phone vibrated again. Chi Siyu looked over again with expectation. This time she was not disappointed. It was a message from Li Yuan. I am having a meeting at the company after the Chinese New Year, there are many things to do, when will you come back? Seeing Li Yuan's reply, Chi Siyu couldn't help but smile. His hands were flying, and he replied quickly without delaying even a second. He, busy man, have you missed me, do you want me to go back now? After Chi Siyu sent the message, her heart started beating fast and she stared at the phone intently, waiting for Li Yuan's reply. After a few minutes, the phone vibrated again. Of course I miss my teacher Chi, come back quickly, I've prepared a surprise for you. Chi Siyu felt happy that Li Yuan had really prepared a surprise for him. She was suddenly looking forward to it, imagining what kind of surprise Li Yuan would prepare for her. No, I can't think about it. I really thought of it. By then, the sense of surprise will be weak. It's good to be full of expectations like this. Chi Siyu murmured to himself, the smile on his face as bright as spring flowers. Great talent, I will go back to the Magic City tomorrow. Can I see you? Li Yuan smiled and said, okay, I will spend half a day with you tomorrow. Chi Siyu smiled sweetly. She also knew that Li Yuan was very busy recently. It was good that Li Yuan could spare half a day to spend with her. Yeah, great, see you tomorrow then. Li Yuan, well, see you there or see you. I'm still in a meeting and won't talk to you anymore. After finishing the chat with Li Yuan, Chi Siyu began to pack his clothes excitedly, preparing to return to the Magic City tomorrow. When everything was put away and Chi Siyu was fantasizing about being with Li Yuan, she suddenly thought of something. Oh no, let's calculate the date. My aunt is due in the past 2 days. Will it affect tomorrow's date? No, let me calculate again. When did you get your period last month? Chi Siyu raised her fingers seriously and made calculations in her mind. As a girl, it is convenient for her to know very clearly when her period will come, so that she can be fully prepared. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a huge embarrassment if my period suddenly came and I didn't bring sanitary napkins, toilet paper, etc. After calculating for a while, Chi Siyu's expression suddenly changed, and his heart was beating nervously. What's wrong? My aunt was supposed to come the day before yesterday, why hasn't she come yet? Chapter 315 Pregnant? This is a good thing. Chi Siyu was so frightened by this guess that she trembled all over, her vision went dark, her body swayed, and she almost fell to the ground. For an unmarried woman, the most fearful thing is probably that her aunt does not arrive as scheduled. Because, it is very likely that it is a precursor to winning the lottery. This is simply a bolt from the blue. Even though Chi Siyu didn't know much about this aspect, he was aware of the seriousness of the problem. Because she might really have won the prize. Chi Siyu, calm down. Stay calm. Don't be impatient. This may not be true. Chi Siyu sat slumped on the edge of the bed, constantly mumbling to herself to cheer herself up and calm down. After a while, she regained some composure and thought carefully about the time since her aunt left last time. The last time my aunt left, it was January 3rd. Today is February 2nd, which is exactly 30 days. According to the 28-day cycle, it has been more than 2 days. However, this may have errors and may not be accurate. It may be earlier or later. Don't scare yourself. It may only be delayed by 2 days. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 550. Chi Siyu murmured to herself and comforted herself. Before, her aunt's cycle was very regular, with few late arrivals or early departures. The main reason for this is that she has not had sex before. Now, she already has Li Yuan. Although the two of them do not play poker frequently, She did not take any safety measures in order to take care of Li Yuan's feelings and make Li Yuan more comfortable. Let me think about it. The last time I was with him was on the 23rd of the 12th lunar month before I went home for the new year. It was exactly 15 days ago. After Chi Siyu made this calculation, her already calm mood instantly became highly tense again. What's wrong? Those few days happen to be a dangerous period, can't it be such a coincidence? Playing poker during the dangerous period, the probability of winning will be greatly increased. Thinking about it, her end has not come yet and has been postponed, and she suddenly has a bad feeling in her heart. No, I have to get tested, but how? Do I need to go to the hospital for a blood test? It's only about half a month now. Can I find out if I go to the hospital for a blood test? In this situation, should I tell Li Yuan that he is only 19 years old? Will he be very scared? What if he doesn't dare to see me? If I really get pregnant with his child, should I give birth to it? But I've only been with him for a few months. What should I do? Chi Siyu's mind went blank. She didn't understand or pay attention to this kind of thing before. Apart from going to the hospital for examination, she knew nothing about anything else. Now I suddenly panicked, my face was green and white, changing constantly, and I looked particularly nervous. At this time, Shen Qiang suddenly pushed the door open and entered. As soon as she sent the matchmaker and Zhang Feng away, she wanted to come up and ask her daughter about her boyfriend's details in detail. Siyu, what are you doing sitting there? Shen Qiang entered the door and asked, but received no response. She couldn't help but say huh and looked at her daughter in confusion. I saw my precious daughter, looking in a daze, as if she had lost her soul. Even when she came close to her, she didn't react at all. Shen Qiang was shocked and quickly stepped forward to ask with concern, Siyu, what's wrong with you? Why are you so dazed? At this time, Chi Siyu came back to her senses. Looking at her mother's eyes so close, she couldn't help but panic. She subconsciously felt a little guilty and said, it's okay, it's nothing. Seeing Chi Siyu's reaction, Shen Qiang felt something was even more wrong. She quickly reached out and touched Chi Siyu's forehead. It's not hot, and it doesn't look like I'm sick. It's not hot, Siyu, are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? Chi Siyu quickly shook her head, Mom, no, I'm fine. Is it really okay? Shen Qiang was a little doubtful, why do you look like you're in a trance? Did you have a fight with your boyfriend? Chi Siyu raised her head and glanced at her mother. Facing her concerned and worried eyes, she suddenly felt a little aggrieved and wanted to cry. A trace of crystal tears could be seen in the corners of her eyes, which were spinning continuously. Seeing her precious daughter looking like she was about to cry, Shen Qiang was suddenly shocked and thought to herself. It's bad. Siyu must have had a fight with her boyfriend. Could it be that they broke up? Or is it that I introduced her to a blind date and her boyfriend found out about it, so she became angry? Shen Qiang was shocked and asked cautiously, Siyu, is your boyfriend angry because of the blind date? Chi Siyu looked startled. He didn't expect that his mother would be so good at making connections. She quickly shook her head and explained, Mom, no, it has nothing to do with it, and I didn't quarrel with him. It's not because of this. Shen Qiang breathed a sigh of relief and asked again, then why? Because. Chi Siyu's mind was running at high speed, thinking of countermeasures. After a moment, he thought of the reason. Mom, I'm going back to Magic City tomorrow. I feel a little reluctant to leave you and my dad, and I feel a little sad. Shen Qiang chuckled, stretched out her hand to rub Chi Siyu's head, and cursed with a smile. Silly girl, what did I think was going on? It scared me. If you want to go back, just go back. It's not a matter of life and death. Suchin is not far from the Magic City. If you really miss home, just come back. Seeing that his mother believed the random nonsense, Chi Siya breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't dare tell her parents that she might have won the lottery because she doubted that she would be beaten to death on the spot. Well, Mom, I understand. I will come back often when I have time. Shen Qiang nodded, as long as it's okay, I'll send your Aunt May and the young man upstairs away. Hey, I'm so embarrassed this time. Your Aunt May didn't say anything, but she must be very angry with me in her heart. By the way, tell me about your boyfriend, how old he is, what he does, where he lives, how tall he is. Hearing that his mother was about to start household registration checking, Chi Siya felt a sudden thought and didn't want to answer. But facing her mother's curious eyes, she couldn't think of how to refuse. Isn't it normal for a mother to care about her daughter's feelings and understand her daughter's situation? However, she really couldn't tell the truth about Li Yuan. Although Li Yuan bought himself a house and a car, she still doesn't know if she is considered one of Li Yuan's real girlfriends. She has seen Li Yuan's other 3 girlfriends, Zhong Tingyu, Xiao's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi, openly with them. But what about yourself? She wasn't sure what kind of feelings Li Yuan had for her. Chi Siyu hesitated and gave a general summary of Li Yuan's situation. Mom, he is about the same age as me. He is very tall, about 1.85 meters tall. He is handsome and has a good figure. He is now starting a business and working in the internet industry. Chi Siyu vaguely described a poor man's version of Li Yuan to Shen Qiang sentence by sentence. Upon hearing Chi Siyu's introduction, Shen Qiang's eyes suddenly lit up and she nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. He is tall and handsome. He can also start his own business. He is also very good to you. Very good. By the way, Siyu, you said he went abroad. When will he come back? Take him home and let me meet your father. You are not young anymore. You are already 27 this year. In 2 years, you will be a 30-year-old girl. While you are still young and you meet the right person, get married as soon as possible and have a child before you are 30. I heard that after the age of 30, you become an older mother, and it is very dangerous to have another child. If you give birth earlier, your father and I can take care of you for another 2 years. Shen Qiang spoke eloquently, leaving Chi Siyu on the side dumbfounded. What is this? I just introduced Li Yuan's situation casually. Did my mother already think of getting married, having children, and raising children? Isn't this a bit too jumpy? Besides, I am obviously only 25 years old, why am I 27? Chi Siyu muttered speechlessly, Mom, I'm only 25, why am I already 27? I'm still young. Shen Qiang immediately corrected Chi Siyu's wrong idea. Siyu, you were born in the 12th lunar month, so you are already 27 years old. If you wait 2 more years, you will be 30, right? Look at the peers around you. Children your age are already making fools of themselves, yet you still call yourself small. Now that you have a boyfriend, you can settle down. Find an opportunity as soon as possible for our 2 families to meet and discuss the wedding date. Set a date to get married as soon as possible and have children as soon as possible. Don't stare at me like that. Mom is doing this for your own good. If you think about it carefully, if you set a date now, you can't get married until at least the National Day or the Chinese New Year. After the marriage is completed, you have to have children, and you have to have at least 1 child. 2 years, that means she is almost 30, she is already an older mother. Hearing that his mother was not only forcing her to get married, but was even forcing her to have children, Chi Siyu couldn't stand it anymore and felt very, very speechless. Mom, please stop urging me. My head is about to explode from your urging. I have my own plans, so you and my dad don't need to ask. Just go and care about Sichin. Shen Qiang snorted, you girl, like your brother, doesn't give me any peace of mind. Chi Sichin, a bastard, ran away to Chang'an City alone and didn't even come back for the new year. It's really a waste of time. He doesn't fall in love either. I don't go home and hang out with a few male classmates every day, which really pisses me off. Seeing that his mother began to output indiscriminately, Chi Siu immediately shrank his head and mourned 3 minutes of silence for his brother. Shen Qiang outputted for a while, and her throat seemed a little dry. Looking at Chi Siu, who looked like she was quietly eating melons and watching a show, she coughed. Siu, don't be like your brother, get married as soon as possible if you can. Chi Siu replied perfunctorily, Mom, I understand, can you please stop urging me? Shen Qiang said, okay, I won't rush you. You are still better than your brother in this regard. You also know how to find a boyfriend, and you have pretty good taste. How are you leaving tomorrow? Chi Siu replied, Mom, I will take the shuttle bus back tomorrow. Shen Qiang asked again, is it just you? Where is your good friend? When will she go back? Chi Siu, Mom, come back with me quietly. Okay, you two go back together, and there will be someone to look after you on the way.